Alright, so we have this ready to place on a sheet, and I was talking about getting rid of the grid. You can have it there if you want to for this particular part, but if you want to get rid of it, basically that's part of the mass that's showing, and we can get rid of that. When you use masses, Revit will turn on, under massing and site, show mass form and floors. So it'll show in every view everywhere the mass form and floors. You can come in and say show mass by view settings, and then if you look at your view, so I'm going to go to VV here, you can turn off the mass in this view. So if I turn that off and click OK, that disappears, right? So now that's no longer there, but in the pattern 2 view it is there. So you can do that, and now it's ready to place on a sheet. I gave you a 12 by 36 sheet to use. So if you pick that, you can go up and take pattern 2 copy and drag that onto the sheet, right? And if you're happy with the size of it, that's fine. You can always rescale it by coming up here, making it a little smaller. You can also decide whether you want to have this title or not. If you don't want the title, you can pick the view and say no title. The outline will not print. So if we were going to do that for the solid one, you can go to the pattern 2, you can duplicate that, and then instead of using scope box 1, we can use scope box 2 in our view to crop, right? And in this one we can go to visibility graphics by typing VV and turning off our masks by unchecking that, and then you can view, hide, VH those guys. Okay, so once you've got that done, you're ready to place this onto the sheet as well. You can change the scale here before you get to the sheet if you want to, and then I'm going to come down and double click on the sheet, and I will drag the pattern 2 copy onto the sheet, and it will very nicely line it up for me. And then I can come in and pick that view and get rid of the title if I don't want it. So now I have the 2 patterns in here, and you would just do the same thing for other variations. You can do what I've done, which is the line and the surface, or if you want to do, 2 line versions, then that's fine, or you want to do even a variation of the same line one, right, where you do it a little differently. So for example, if I go into my pattern 2 again, right, and I'm just going to make a copy of this guy over 200 feet, right, and I'm also going to copy the scope box over 100 feet. I know they're spaced at 100, so, and it's going to make a new scope box number 3 for me for that one. So I can then come into this family, edit in place, right, and if I delete this guy, I can replace it in there in a different form, and this may or may not work depending on, or work well for you depending on what you're trying to do. So if I come in and pick this type 1, you don't necessarily have to place it, orthogonally. So if I come in and place it like that, right? So place it in that order. I can then pick that and repeat it that way, right? So now I have that particular version in there. I could also go in at this point, and if I edit D1, maybe we want that to be 5. Click OK, and now I have these guys in sort of a different formation than I had before, right? So you can come in and either vary these, or you could make a tile and place the tile in there. So I'll go grab a tile real quick and show you what that does. Alright, so I've loaded a tile into here, and so I'm going to go ahead and place it. So it's this in a nested family. So if I delete this guy, let's go ahead and delete that, and I'll delete that guy, and I'm going to go ahead over here and pull in this tile, and so we'll make it 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. And then if I pick that, I can then repeat that, right? And it repeats that tile, right? And it create like a flap there and a flap there, however you want to do it, but you get sort of a different, version of the same thing using a nesting option. So, oh, it looks like I have some kind of little extra stuff in there. So let's take a look at the family, or something's flying off somewhere that isn't hosted. Let's look at reference level. Let me go back to 3D view because it looks a little crazy. So let's get rid of that guy, that guy, that guy. Looks like I had a bunch of extra stuff in there, which happens. So I just got rid of it. And now if I load it back into project and overwrite the existing version, it will disappear when you do that. Very annoying. What you can do is close this guy, and then, I mean, you don't have to close this one, but I'm just kind of flipping through. I'm going to save that version there. And then once I get back to this one and I click Finish Mass, I should be able to go to my pattern 2, and that guy is now updated without its craziness. When you reload something, it will sometimes disappear. What you need to do is just close the window and then work your way back to the file. If it says, do you want to save the file, say yes, and then cancel it, and it'll come back. It's a weird little thing. So then you could have this as an option as well. So that, really only need 2 for now, but a third one if you want to play around. Alright. When I come back, we'll place that on a sheet and print it.